Hey, sixth graders. Today's topic is suspending judgment. So, for our objective, we will explore what we can learn about characters when we study them over time. To do this, we will suspend our own judgment about a character and pay extra close attention to our character's motivations and actions and consider why they act the way they do. So, key terms for our lesson today: the word suspend means to delay or hold back. The word judgment is the act or process of forming an opinion. All right, and as we continue to look at characters and think about character traits, we want to make sure we're looking at both sides of the story. So that is our big goal today. Okay, so we're going to start out with a character that's pretty well known, Professor Snape, Harry Potter's teacher at Hogwarts. He's not known for being the nicest guy. You'll often see him pushing around his students like he's doing one of the Weasley brothers here. He is hitting Ron in the back of his head with a book. And he's snatching Hermione's book out of her hand. And we can even see him doing this creepy stare into Harry's eyes in the classroom. So most of the time we're introduced to Snape, we see Snape, he's pretty cold, pretty not kind individual. So my initial impression of Snape are some traits that I'm going to present to you. But before that, some key terms. The word initial is to occur at the beginning. Impression is an idea, feeling, or opinion about something or someone. So my initial impression of Snape is that he's nasty. Snape speaks harshly to Harry about having his book. He's being unprepared for class. Snape won't call on Hermione even though she raises her hand. He has power. He's powerful. He seems to have power over his students. He hits his students. He has been seen hitting many students, including Ron, Fred, and George. And students can't hit a teacher without a very harsh punishment. Students can't really retaliate. But in this position, it seems that Snape has a lot of power over his students. So although I've picked two traits that are my initial impression of Snape, I'm going to hold on to these pretty loosely because it's just my first impression, and it's very important that I see both sides of the story. I'm going to have to look a lot further into how Professor Snape is and study him over time. So I'm going to show you a clip, and we're going to watch a clip where Harry is going back into Snape's memory. We're going to be introduced to three characters outside of Harry. That'll be Lily Potter, Harry's mom, Aunt Petunia, and young Professor Snape. Later on, we'll be introduced to James Potter, Harry's dad. But as we're watching this clip, I want you to think about Snape's character traits. You can type them along in the chat or just keep them in your mind, type them on a jot, and we're going to discuss them after. So again, as you're watching, think about Snape's character traits.
She's ordinary, and you're special. That's me, Severus. Hi, I'm Lily.
Just like your friend. Lazy.
Don't say a word against my father. Monsters shall be reunited once more.
Severus. Oh, don't kill me.
Prophecy did not refer to a woman. It spoke of a boy born at the end of July.
Yes, but he thinks it's her son. He intends to hunt them down now, to kill them. Hide them. Hide them all. I beg you.
What will you give me in exchange, Severus?
Anything.
Harry, you're so loved. So loved. Harry, Mama loves you. Dada loves you. Harry, be safe. Be strong.
Said you want to keep her safe.
Lily and James put their faith in the wrong person, Severus. Rather like you. The boy survives.
Doesn't need protection. The Dark Lord is gone.
The Dark Lord will return. When he does, the boy will be in terrible danger. He has her eyes. If you truly loved her,
No one can know.
I should never.
Wow. So, were you able to gather a lot of clues and evidence? I know I did. So, I definitely have a new impression of Snape. I definitely think that he is imaginative. My evidence is that he sent a butterfly in order to make friends with Lily Potter. I thought that was really sweet. He's also extremely brave. Snape agreed to do whatever Dumbledore asks, even if he has to kill him, in order to protect Harry and keep him safe. I think that's extremely brave. I would also say that Snape is a bit lonely. In the beginning of the clip, it shows that he really wanted a friend. And he becomes a little bit jealous of James Potter because James gets a little bit more with Lily than Snape might have liked. And that also shows me that Snape is extremely passionate about how he feels, about his feelings for Lily, and especially showing that he's imaginative with the butterfly. So these are some character traits that I have collected clues and evidence for. That he's imaginative, brave, a bit lonely, and passionate. So now that I've seen the other side of the story, it's very different from my first impression when all I saw was Snape kind of hitting kids and snatching books out of their hand and being really creepy and cold all the time. So, based on our new evidence, why does Snape act the way he does? And what do his actions reveal about him? So, character motivation, we have learned that Snape's love for Lily makes him do unimaginable things to keep Harry safe. Snape deceives Voldemort and does everything that Dumbledore asks of him, all to protect Harry. This reveals that although Snape acts cold and nasty to his students at Hogwarts, Snape's actions reveal that he is a very loyal and brave character. He fulfills his duties knowing he could die any day, and at the same time, he does it without any recognition. In fact, he insists that no one ever know that he's protecting Harry. That makes him very humble. So, do you see how if we only kept our original impression of Professor Snape, we might have missed out on this whole other side of him that's actually pretty important? So, one thing I definitely want to challenge you all to continue doing is ranking your evidence when you're discovering traits. So, what do I mean by that? The traits that rank the highest aren't the traits that you have the most amount of evidence for. It's the traits that you have the most meaningful evidence that's important. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, you can rate the level of evidence that you have. So, I've already gone through all of our traits and I've ranked them on a scale of 1 to 5, from least important to most meaningful. A really strong trait. So, mean and nasty, I rank that a 1. It's not really a big deal. It just shows that he's annoying. Powerful, I rank that a 3. I think that Snape has a lot of power over his students and sometimes even abuses his power. He was seen hitting the students, and we know students can't retaliate and hit their teachers back. So it was definitely a lot of power and sometimes abusive. Imaginative, I rank that a 2 because Snape's imagination helped him when he was lonely. And at brave, I ranked at a 5. It shows Snape's inner side and how he's willing to sacrifice himself in order to make sure that Harry's safe. And I think that's a really strong trait. So even though we've seen Professor Snape be really mean and nasty to students and in some situations and instances in the books and movies, it is not the most important trait. It will be that he is brave and it shows his inner side and that he's willing to go above and beyond to make sure that Harry is safe and humble enough to even make sure that no one knows he's protecting Harry. All right, so now that we've practiced with a fictional text, I want to show you that these skills are transferable when we are reading other texts and doing other things in the world, especially when reading nonfiction, so that we can critically think and come to our conclusions. So, what is the work that we did today? Good readers suspend their judgment by first collecting details and supporting it with evidence. Then they're studying the character over time, throughout the book, or even throughout a series of books. Third, you're going to collect more details, details. Asking why are the characters, asking yourself why. What are the characters' motivations? Why are they acting this way? What is making them act this way? And last but not least, considering what it reveals about the character. Now it's your turn to try it out with your own books. And I know we've been reading great, exciting, juicy stories so far, so I cannot wait to continue reading all the things you are learning about your characters in your creative entries and your mini lesson notes. So see you soon. Thank you for watching, and keep reading.